What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news. And in this one we've got some interesting new interviews to talk about. Bungie teased some big character events for Witch Queen, including a possible character death, and so we'll talk about that, plus they also touch on some season stuff. And then we get some other updates from Bungie, the return of Grandmaster Nightfalls, more changes for Trials, and updates that'll be coming in December. I have been away for a few days, so there's a little bit of catching up to do, which we'll do in the video as well. But I hope you guys enjoy it as always, and if you do, a rating below really helps us out on the channel. But now, let's get into it. Let's speak about a new interview between Bungie and Games Radar. They spoke to the developers about narrative stuff in some of the seasons, and in Witch Queen coming up next year. They do say that just as Destiny 2 Year 4 has become much more than Beyond Light, Year 5 will be much more than just the Witch Queen. Savathun's presence and actions will be formative, but Bungie has plenty more in store as Destiny 2 builds towards the release of Lightfall and the final shape in 2023 and 2024. They do say that the developers had said, "We haven't seen the last of Kronicle," the surprising Cabal ally introduced in Season of the Chosen. And also they stated that Mithrax and Saint 14 will likely take center stage again. And then they say Callus, Destiny 2's first raid boss, and Kronikel's father, is also out there waiting, doing something, and they say we're not really sure what, but we're excited to continue to do things with him. They also say that they think players haven't realized yet just how important Xivu Arath is going to be. And then the interviewer says, "I asked about the newly reintroduced sidearm, the spoiler alert, and the flavor text on the gun reads, 'Someone is going to die.' The last time we saw this thing was in the Warmind DLC which preceded Forsaken and the death of Cade 6. And he asks if this is coincidence. And the devs reply, "It's not a coincidence. That's all I'll say." And so folks are speculating now as to whether this could indicate another character death that we're going to see in the Witch Queen. And of course there is a lot of scope for something like that to happen. Could it potentially be a character like Osiris, especially with what's happened with the Witch Queen recently? Or indeed another member of the Vanguard? I'm curious to get any thoughts from you guys down below. Nonetheless, it's definitely a confirmation that some kind of significant events will take place with characters in Witch Queen. But also in the interview they talk about how they've been developing narratives over the past few seasons. New spaces like the Helm, messages on the radios, additional dialogue and lore. And they say that they definitely want to continue to do stuff like that. They also talk about Savathun a little bit, and they say that Savathun will have more staying power than some previous baddies. And there's definitely a conscious effort there, like when we didn't kill Kronicle in Season of the Chosen. And so they're saying the character essentially will influence the world of Destiny 2 throughout the entirety of the year. So there is some interesting stuff in there, and if you want to read those full interview segments, I'll link them down below. Next though, to round up some story stuff from in the game this week. There's a pretty cool scene where Crow finally approached Savathun to talk, which is something that he's wanted to do for a little while, as discussed in the story so far this season. And so if you missed it or want the recap, this was their conversation in Mara's chambers.
"You were kind to me. I thought you were my friend."
Am I not?
"You lied to me."
I helped you break Xivu Arath's hold on the shore, brought you to the last city, offered you guidance.
Stop.
If that's what you want.
I want the truth.
I was kind to you because I wanted to be. Because the truth hurts. You know this better than anyone. Shrinking away from the rumors of the man you used to be.
I'm not him.
How can you say that when you don't even know who he is? If the truth is what you really want, then lay your hand on me.
Crow, don't. Please.
See? Even your ghost thinks you're better off in the dark.
Crow, don't. Don't come any closer. What did you show him?
Everything.
No, wait! You hurt him.
Someone had to. Better for it to have come from a friend.
Next though, Bungie spoke a little bit about Trials, and interestingly initially, they say this weekend Trials is off for Iron Banner, so of course that was a change going into Season 15, that when another event like the Iron Banner is present, it's possible that Trials will take a break for the weekend, and so Trials will be returning next week. And they say at the moment, there is a bug with the way that pool-based matchmaking interacts with disabled pools, so they say it collapses them down into the previous pool, and unfortunately, the setup for aiding matchmaking for the first few wins of the week causes an unintentional flawless mini-pool for the first 2 wins of the card. So if you went flawless and are on win 0 or 1 of your reset passage, you preferentially match against other flawless players in the same state. Once you get to win 2, this goes away, and that's one of the reasons probably that a lot of players have been talking about cards feeling a bit sweatier in the early games, and so they say they're planning to fix that in the next few weeks. They also say for zone capture trials, they plan to find a different way to vary the capture zone location without giving positional advantage to either side, so internally they initially tested a single central zone, but found that it created dull repetitive games, as it always collapsed the usable map spaces to that central location. But they do say they're looking at authoring additional neutral capture locations in a few maps to support further labs this season. We may still play around with the milder advantage position to use in extreme cases depending on the map, but we want to make sure we have at least 3 neutral locations. And essentially they're talking about the potency of having a capture zone very close to a spawn in Trials. But also, they say they plan to remove the super gain energy on capture from the capture zone, and they say specifically after an elimination, this leads to more snowballing. And so they're looking at making these changes and bringing Trials Labs Capture Zone back in early December. Give us your experiences and thoughts of Trials as it was last weekend. I only really played a few games of it, and I personally didn't mind actually having the objective, but I totally agree that sometimes the positioning of those objectives should perhaps be a little more neutral, as Bungie say, or essentially more central to the map and easier or more equal to access for both teams. But otherwise, personally I had fun with the objective, however give us your thoughts below. Next though, Bungie say that Grandmaster difficulty will unlock for Nightfalls next week, and first up this season we'll get Hollowed Lair, so that'll be interesting. They also point out that the Scorn now have recently discovered ways to wield stasis. They say players will want to be 1345 power to get started, and they say later on in the season they'll be making changes to Grandmasters and their accessibility, so this is going to be part of a December update, and the Grandmaster catch-up node will become available at the same time Grandmaster difficulty is available, so long as you have the Conqueror title, but have not yet gilded it in the season. And they point out that Grandmasters will have already gone live by the time this change comes later in the season, but the catch-up node will be available when Grandmasters first start in seasons going forward. And then each Grandmaster Nightfall will be available if the fireteam leader has not yet completed the Gilding Triumph for that strike during the season, which means you can play each featured strike for a season to earn your gilded title, and once you've gilded it, the catch-up node will no longer be available. Otherwise, in terms of loot, they say there aren't any major changes happening. We'll still get chances to earn adept variants of Nightfall specific weapons, and that includes the new ones for this season, as well as the ones from previous seasons. And then of course enhancement cores, prisms, ascendant shards and things like that. And they say we recently made a change where adept weapon mods for impact, charge time, blast radius and projectile speed can now be acquired from Nightfalls in Grandmaster, in addition to trials and raids. So let us know down below if you're going to be diving into Grandmaster Nightfalls next week. Though Scorn with stasis should be pretty fun to fight. Finally, Bungie also announced a new inclusion club, and they're working on creating more opportunities to think about accessibility for players. I'll link all of the blog posts down below, but some of those things will include new settings in the game. So they speak about fast-firing non-automatic weapons like scout rifles and hand cannons, and how for folks with certain disabilities, or indeed even things like injuries, right, that can cause pain in longer gaming sessions. And so they say they want to work on a way to enable auto-fire for these kinds of weapons, and they say it's a feature that they'll keep us updated on. It's definitely an interesting one right there. They're also working on a bunch of other things on the website, and they say soon they'll be posting a fully localized article that contains information for folks who are worried about their mental health, for instance. So all of that sounds really interesting, and if you want to read more, once again the links are down below. They're also launching a new charitable pin, and this one's called Everyone Can Play, which also comes with a cool emblem in game. So that's something they're going to be selling via the Bungie store, and they say throughout the month of October, 100% of the profits from the pin will benefit the Able Gamers Foundation, so that's pretty cool as well. And again, if you want to support any of that stuff or get more information, the details are in the description box, guys. But as always, I hope the video has been useful or enjoyable. Give us any thoughts about what we've spoken about in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel though, and you want to be kept up to date with everything related to Destiny, be sure to hit that subscribe button and I'll keep you posted. Also, if you've enjoyed the video, a like down below really does help us out, but otherwise, thanks as always for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.